anything. Let's discover more about these core wounds, because I'm struggling.
What would you like to know? What bit are you struggling with?
Well, I'm trying to think when, and I don't anymore. I don't at the moment because I'm not working. But when I worked with an education and in the care sector, you used to have to go to lots of things, lots of group things. And unless there was somebody that we were with, um, like colleagues I went with, I would just basically sit on my own because I thought I've never been one to want to mingle, but I don't know if that is just the way I am or if that is something, if it's some kind of wound that makes me, I don't feel like I don't belong. I just feel like I don't want to interact. But
Yes.
I don't know.
What do you think makes you not want to interact? I mean, how does it feel? Like, let's say you could talk us through how it feels to be Rachel when you go into that environment and you notice, I don't want to interact, I'm going to sit on my own.
Usually the night before, I'm a bit nervous because possibly it's a new situation. So I make sure I know how to get where I'm going and what it's going to be about. And then when I get there, I was going to say, I just brought to mind an incident that happened when I was younger. We used to live opposite a church and we had a driveway and they had weddings and they'd always park across a bloody drive. And I remember walking into this, I don't know if it was a christening or a wedding, and walking down the aisle and walking straight up to the vicar and said, "Can you announce on your microphone that they moved their fucking car from across my fucking drive because I'm sick of it?" And walked back out. And it was like silence. Every
Oh, God. That's
And I walked out
one
and they came and moved their car and I got off the drive.
that's one way to make an entrance.
I didn't even think about it. I don't know if I was so angry. That's what I was trying to think about when I was thinking about going into a room and meeting people that I didn't know. And then that came to mind. So I thought, that made me laugh. Oh dear.
But think about, I mean, if you feel like uncomfortable, do you know what I mean? If we all know, if we feel a sense of safety and openness and in spaces, in certain spaces, we can
I
choose.
suppose, yeah, when I was younger, it's funny, isn't it? As you get older and you get more, I don't know, I just feel more comfortable in my body. And people say I never lacked confidence, but I just feel really comfortable in who I am. So it doesn't, and plus I'm not in that environment anymore. So I don't get put in that situation. But when I was younger, I did feel, did I feel uncomfortable? I suppose I did if I didn't know anybody, but I never made a big deal of it. I just used to sit there and look like I was important, or go and get a cup of tea, or um, I think that's where I'm struggling a lot on this course with things. There are, I had an amazing subpersonality session with Naomi um, after our conversation and our smart session. Um, and that is still, still trying to work through that. And what came out massively for me was control.
Mhm.
Um, and that came from that 3.5-year-old and firmly fixed itself in it was very difficult for me to find um, the opposite personality to that because it's so strong, it's so overpowering. And
Yeah.
I'm working on trying to let that, have some time off. but it's hard.
So so the subpersonalities always have an equal opposite who is just as important, but potentially has been suppressed.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you think about what's the opposite to somebody who's in control, sometimes it's hard to label that one, but it's like could be the jester, the nomad, the magician, the um fairy child. You know,
I'm gonna have I'd have to ask Naomi because
you didn't mention it because it was something I fed back to Naomi.
right. That's
Yeah,
interesting, isn't
so
it?
there wasn't a name. So that would have been a really important part of the process is
Yeah.
to find out what you were working with as an archetype um, in that session. Just for your own level of awareness more than anything. So yeah, so I just like pulled a tarot card and that's the sun. So you know the sun is your vital life force, your motivation, your mojo, kind of even your ego, but it's really your personality. It's where your soul gets lit up. Now a controller isn't potentially going to want you to
That
project that.
looks like you pulled that out, and I immediately thought chaos.
Yeah, see this is the life force energy within us all, but a controller won't necessarily want you to project that because that could lead you to places the controller doesn't want you to go. So thinking about the opposite of the controller, somebody who's got tight controllers, somebody who's very free. It's like the hippie, the pics, it's like,
Yeah.
no, that's okay. I don't
Yeah.
need to know where I'm going. I just follow what brings me joy.
No, now that fills me with fear.
Yeah, of course, because the controller
Ooh.
is so dominant. Yeah.
Mm.
But with the subpersonalities, it's not to then let let's say the wanderer in us, the curious part of us take over, because that's not the true self either. The,
No, I think that's why it'd be useful to have more. I might contact Naomi to have more sessions, because it's not a one-off piece of work, is it? And I'm struggling doing anything by myself. I'm aware of the issue. Um, yeah.
so if you think about the controller then and how that is, because what I notice a little bit of is the controller is there, it's been there for a very long time. Like, you identify that part of yourself as just being who you are.
Mm.
Naturally, you're going to, but it's not.
No.
It is an identity that you can let go.
I've gone all hot and sweaty. Mm. I know, I know that's what's got to happen. It's hard. And I think that's what's pushed me into um, inactivity, because it's just too big.
Imagine if it wasn't too big. Imagine it's only as big as the construct and that you're creating in your own mind through your own perception. And that perception could be the 3-year-old's way of viewing things. So don't forget, every time our wounds get triggered, it triggers us right back to where it started. So the 3-year-old's perception of how big it is from a 3-year-old, not from the you now.
I think that's what I'm struggling with, because it's such a large, because it has ruled my life. It's a bit like the food thing. Who am I without that?
Who do you want to be
I don't know.
without that? See, you can't let go of anything without giving your brain the version that you want to
I
step into.
want, yeah.
You
I,
literally, safety measures, the brain goes, well, what do you want me to do now? Oh, I don't know. Well, it's like, well, I can't not think about something. So you're not giving me anything. I'm thinking about this.
which is
So
the avoidance I've been doing since, well, the session I had with Naomi. It's about the avoidance, about dealing with the control issue, but also what am I, who am I without it? Who do I want to be?
it's who you create yourself to be. That is where you're in control. That's where you do have control, is the reconstruction of the version of the self that you want to be. That is a complete choice that you make. And just for example, I just pulled some cards. So you got the Six of Cups, which is all about childhood. You've got the Four of Pentacles, which is like conserving and shoring up and, control basically. And then you've got, what would you be without that? The Queen of Pentacles. So if you can imagine how you are limiting yourself like that with everything, who you would be without that is, the Queen. So, for example, when I went through the dark night of the soul and I didn't know I knew who I'd created myself to be, that version was dead and I wanted it to be dead. But knowing who I then wanted to become was like, oh shit, what do I do? Like, who am I? And all I could do was think about who I wanted to become. And the only way I could figure that out was to go, what did I like? What do I like about people? What do I admire in other women? Her softness, her vulnerability. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
it's like creating a doll or whatever. And then you become that. You act that way. You be that way. That's all you are anyway. You are just a version of habitual behavior
yeah.
that we then identify as the true self. So when we go, I don't like this version of me now, it's
Mm.
outdated. It's a 3-year old living in an adult body. I'm going to change aspects of myself. All right. So what what next then? Yeah, you know what? I like that about that person. I'd really love to have that quality. Okay, be it then.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. See, that's what I needed.
Yeah. And just another thing, I remember when I was like 3, 4, I used to go to my grandma's every week. Absolutely loved it a bit. And I used to play outside this big garden. We lived in these flats, and the stairs, there were these steps that led to the garden. And I remember sitting on those stairs and thinking, God, these steps are so big, like each step. And it's still in my brain how big they felt to me. And now if I went back, they'd be that big. Do you know what I mean? Like our
Yeah,
perception of the world when we're 3 and we're wounded is immovable. But if we can maybe just think about it like that, how am I really looking at this? If somebody else, if I had this issue that started now, today, how would I deal with it? Because it'd be so different to the
so
3-year old.
different. Yeah,
The
yeah,
3-year old, the 4-year old, 5-year wouldn't need to control the certain things that she did because she is in control of a lot of areas of her life already. So you would handle it differently have if you were triggered in the here and now. You may even be able to completely rationalize the situation and see it more clearly without the internalization of I'm not lovable, I don't belong here, or I'm not safe, you know, however it played out. So it's maybe asking yourself how, because you said it seems so big. I would say
Mm.
sit with it now as the adult and go, if this problem was presented to me now, what I'm trying to change in my life, how big is it really?
Yeah. Just imagining my dad coming to the door now saying my mum's had another baby. That'd be that would be crazy, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Oh, it's an interesting thing to do though, you know, if you think about it, you could do a little role play, visualization role play where you reenact that scenario, but you change the outcome for you
Yeah,
in
because
your
it's been replaying in my head over and over and over and over, but I need to change it up a bit.
you can, I mean, we did a smart session on it, didn't we? And the
Yeah.
emotion changed around that. But has that come back in different ways, do you think?
Not really. No, I can't feel the emotion of it. It's just dealing with the control
I would then
that
move
it
on.
left behind.
Yeah, I would move on to the first moment you started to have to control that,
Yeah,
you know, and that could be related to a wound of belonging, even, you know, getting noticed. I belong here, I'm part of the family. I don't feel like I belong, but this is my mark. It could be, I don't know, but it could
I
just be,
can't think of any other um occurrences where that would have been. Well, even then, that wasn't my dad wasn't trying to say you don't belong. He was just trying to tell me that I had a sister. But I was talking to somebody the other day and they said they were 8 when another sibling come along, and I thought, wow, 8 years on your own.
yeah. And who knows, you know, what wounds. But yeah, of course, you know, if your dad came along when you were, I don't know, 21 and said there's another
Yeah.
sibling, you know, you might not be bothered because you're living your own life. Who cares?
Life.
You
Yeah,
done, aren't you? You know, um, so we don't know how we react is how we react.
react.
What
Yeah,
happens is it becomes an internalized belief. It's what we tell ourselves. It's then how we shape our perception of the world, and it's what then follows through after that, isn't it? Bye, Anna. So the ability to control is the ability to change our perception of ourselves and the world, and then how we then form a new identity, a new personality, a new way of being, seeing things maybe not through the 3 year old's eyes, being so, I can't do this, I can't change this, to being an adult's eyes and going, okay, these are the things that I would like to change. How do I go about doing that? Okay, well, tonight when I go, I can do this instead. Tomorrow when I can do that instead, and then just taking control in that
yeah,
way.
that makes sense. I'd not even considered. Well, I've been so stuck. I've not even thought about anything other. So it's very useful.
So what's landing with you now that you feel you can implement?
That, yeah, all right. Control's been there all that time, but I've got control. I can control who I become. The question for me is, who do I want to become? So that's what I need to think about.
Yeah, and you know what? That's such a deeply, I would love to go, so what quality, but it's such a deep personal experience that I know that's how it felt for me anyway.
Mm.
Such a deep personal really
I
intense.
just my brain and my body is firing off all these kinds of, I can't even conceptualize what it's saying at the minute, but it's ready.
Mm, yeah, you
It's
know,
ready.
I love that because, and like I say, I'd love to go, oh, share, but it's such a personal thing that you need to sit with, that I wouldn't even dare intrude and ask for your,
I'll let you know when
yeah,
I'll
if you
let you know.
need any help, you just let me know. Thanks for sharing
No,
that.
that's been great. Thank you, Anne-Marie.
Oh, my pleasure. Okay,
I
so
don't
it's
know what I'd do
4:30.
without you.
No, I really appreciate you bringing that to the forum. So we have half an hour, but I'm not going to sit here in silence. So, does anybody else have anything they would like to bring to the table? Okay, if that is a no, then I think we can end the session. And yeah, just wish you all an absolutely gorgeous weekend. Let me just pull a little card before we leave. Something for us all to kind of sit with or embody or contemplate this weekend. Commitment.
Mm.
I'm committed.
Good. To think about what we discussed earlier with the Holy Grail, the sacral chakra, the seat of creation, what are you giving birth to? So think about that. What is the mind making you constantly give birth to with its, wounded thoughts? Or what is it you really, really want to give birth to? And commit to that through only focusing on that. Yes, you'll get the ego mind coming in, the wound still go, but the more you focus and you commit to focusing on the real good stuff that you want to commit to, it will manifest. All right.
Yeah.
Have a lovely weekend, guys. Enjoy the sun.
And you.
All right. Lots of
Thank
love.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.